Typhoon Podul set to hit Taiwan tomorrow. An intensifying typhoon approaching the coast of southern Taiwan this evening, currently located at 21.7 north, 124.6 degrees east. This is Typhoon Podul, a Category 1 and strengthening, and could end up in a higher category before it arrives along the coast tomorrow lunchtime or afternoon. Category 1 right now with 80 mile per hour winds, 125 kilometers per hour, pressure 975 millibars, and moving nearly due west at 17 miles per hour or 27 kilometers per hour as of 9 p.m. local time this August 12th. So the storm is certainly fleshing out that eye structure, although the northwestern side not looking quite as good as the rest of the storm. Its wind field extending out up to and possibly over 105 miles, and there is its position displayed on the map. Typhoon warnings are in effect for large chunks of Taiwan, not the northern part, but most of central and southern Taiwan under typhoon warnings. It is 305 kilometers from Itbayat, part of the Philippines, 315 from Orchid Island, 375 from Taitung, 457 from Kaohsiung, and 484 from Taipei. Well, the storm will continue to push through the southern half of Taiwan and then onto the coast of China, and then continue to move inland north of Hong Kong, and then whatever's left of its remnants will push on into the Indochina region. So damaging winds are the primary hazard, winds of 100 miles per hour or higher possible, with higher gusts and very heavy rainfall, particularly on the southern mountains. So certainly some dangerous winds there, but also bring a storm surge to low-lying areas, and obviously can cause some significant structural damage as they do so. Obviously those heavy rainfall, that heavy rainfall as well could cause some significant flooding and landslides. Here's the forecast projection over the next few days, taking the storm pretty much as we mentioned over the southern part of Taiwan into southern China, Guangdong province, and then continuing westwards and dissipating completely before the end of the week, and then moving on what's left of it north of Vietnam into those southern provinces of China. Not too much else to say about the track of the storm. It is pretty much set in stone. The real question is how strong it's going to be when it gets there. Currently 80 miles per hour suggested right now. ADT still got a lot of catching up to do. Those satellite estimates are way behind at this point. JMA a little bit higher there as well, and certainly we could be seeing some more intensification before it does make that landfall. Right now it would appear that in pressure terms it probably won't deepen much further, although that is only modelling, and in fact as it is on satellite imagery it does look pretty good. There's the JMA forecast cone, a little bit of a southerly kink there before it turns into Taiwan from the southeast as it is there, pretty much over Orchid Island and then towards the northwest. So interesting to see that. And this is a JTWC forecast, which is a little bit more straightforward, interestingly. They're calling for a Category 2 peak there, 85 knots, 100 miles per hour before making landfall, and then eventually it looks like we could see, if it does continue to intensify all the way, it could be even stronger than that. The GFS model, if you look closely on what it's been predicting there, it is actually forecasting a very brief major typhoon peak, Category 3. I don't want to be alarmist, but it certainly would signal a vast intensification from where it is right now. That's the GFS scenario. If we do follow its current rate intensification, well, it could get easily into the Category 2 range. Look what happens afterwards as well. Another storm forming there. We're given that a 30% chance of developing, by the way, and eventually moving and sidling along the eastern coast of Taiwan, maybe at the weekend or next week. This is the simulated reflectivity. Look at all that rainfall being paraded over the southern China and Vietnam region, and then that next system coming in, and maybe a third system trying to form off the coast of Vietnam into that later period. This is August time. July and August always tend to be quite sloppy in the tropics. Certainly will be quite sloppy down there, and lots of monsoonal showers across the whole region over the next few days. But of course, this defined typhoon, which started off near the Mariana Islands, you can easily see where it ends up going, then that next system eventually forming out of that gyre. Well, looking at the total rainfall expectations, it's not going to be extremely high from Podul according to modelling, although on top of that you'll have the next systems over the next few days, which will be adding on to the 7-day rainfall total, which is now what we're showing, getting up towards 300 millimeters according to this model, although of course with the resolution you could see some locally higher amounts on all of the mountainous areas of Taiwan. Look at that down there near Vietnam though, 37 inches of rain there, nearly 1,000 millimeters. That will be from the next system that tries to form next week, in getting towards the Gulf of Tonkin, along with that third system off to the east of the Philippines. Sea surface temperatures, these numbers will read a little bit low, don't forget, but we're looking at around 28 to 29 degrees Celsius on these graphics, but probably higher than that in actual sea surface temperature terms. That is certainly never going to be an issue for Podul, and never has actually. It's always been wind shear, maybe a little bit of dry air. It was wind shear early on. At this point, the northwestern side of its structure is sort of letting it down a little bit, but you'll see on the satellite imagery when we cross to it in just a second just how much this storm has improved over the last few days. When we were looking at it much earlier, it did look like at one point, only yesterday, that it was falling apart. Well, here it is right now, and you could still argue the northwestern side is looking very flaky, but the massive southern and easterly band there really giving that storm some added boost. Moving westerly, pretty much due west almost, just a tiny northward element there on these satellite images. You can just about see those land masses outlines there. Taiwan on the left hand side. The influence from the storm is about to reach the region very shortly over the course of tonight, and into the early hours of the morning we'll start to see conditions deteriorate in southern Taiwan. So as it is right now, it does indeed look like the southern side is going to be the strongest side of the storm unless all of that convection shifts round towards the north. But at this point it clearly looks good for a Category 1 typhoon status. Will it strengthen further? That's going to be a big question mark here. If it does unravel, which it sort of is looking like a little bit of unraveling going on there, it's very hard to tell. It's quite deceptive, because if it does build back in quickly, then it's got a good eye to be running with there. Here's some radar imagery which might shed some light on this as well. Looking a little bit disorganized on that northern side. The southern side not really coming in properly yet on that satellite image, on the radar scope there. And that was some rapid scan, and this is a wide shot of what the storm is looking like. Not the largest of storms, of course, might just about fit over Taiwan, but certainly it does favour potential rapid intensification if the conditions run right for it. Looking around the world tropics, we've also got Hurricane Henriette, which is just about to lose hurricane status after peaking with 85-mile-per-hour winds earlier. We also have Tropical Storm Erin, which is still struggling in the Atlantic, and a 10% chance off the coast of Canada. In the Western Pacific, of course, we have Podul, which is obviously a Category 1 typhoon.